Yes, hello everybody. If you're watching us live, a bit of a delayed start, but welcome to Full Course Yellow. This is a sort of a get together that we have every Thursday night. A group of us from In Pit Lane. We sort of just get around, chew the fat, talk a little bit about
Yes, hello
motorsports.
everybody. If you're watching us live,
Oh, there you can hear me. There you can hear me again.
So Brett's watching himself and listening to himself live for everybody out there right now. Mine hasn't got the echo, but have another go at it, Brett.
welcome to Full Course Yellow.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, thanks, Brett. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Brett.
So good we did it twice. Yeah, I had two windows, two windows open, and one was muted, but obviously the other one was not. But anyway, that's the wonders of live streaming. Yes, if you're watching us, thanks for joining us. We get motor racing back in Victoria on the weekend in a major way. We've got out at Sandown, we've got the Australian Motor Racing Series, really big fields, particularly once again in the Excels, 57 cars out there. I mean, wow, that is the popularity of that category is just absolutely
could be carnage there, Brett.
It could be, well, it could be cars. I must say that overall, though, they have been very well behaved. It could, because if you, I don't know if you remember the old sort of the days of the Renault New Star and the Ford Laser series, all of those one make series were absolute carnage. And I think nowadays they crack down on a lot. They've got driving standards officers, and they throw out a few penalties so that it's not the crash and punch. Even in the old days of the Even in the old days of the early days of the HQ Holdens, they were always, Trouble is they're too bloody expensive to crash nowadays. I mean,
well, they were then too. If you did a back chrome bumper on a HQ Monaro because it was the only one that had the square tail lights on it. It was expensive back then, and it was frowned upon then by the other drivers just to hit each other up the bottom then as well too.
Yeah, they cleaned that up a lot, but yeah, and I must say also the quality of car presentation in the Excels is superb as well. You have a look at them and you realise, and a few people are doing this now. A lot of people have sort of realised, the people who built them for racing, a lot of particularly the younger guys are looking and saying, "Hey, these are a good little car, and they're still relatively cheap. Let's knock one up and and build one up for the road." So there's a few nice little Excels on the road, but that's not going to last long because they're starting to the wreckers are realising why they're suddenly every time they get a halfway decent model Excel into the wreckers, it goes within sort of 24 hours because they suddenly, it's like one of them said to Richard, it's like we know what you're using it for now. So gone. Price.
You can't play. I want grandma or grandma spec Excel that's been sitting out the back of the property for 5 years, and it's like, oh, I might just pass it on now. Oh, yeah, exactly. It doesn't pass anymore. We know what you want it for. Yeah, you getting premium dollars? Hand over the.
People were picking them up for in reasonable condition, like for sub $1,000 to build them up. But yeah, as I said, and they were picking up. Richard got his first one pretty cheap, and then he went to get one for spares. The one he's using is his road car, and then went and found out that it was, it had gone up. They'd gone up a little bit in price because they realised what they're being used for now, and they're in demand. But
what do you reckon will be the next phase of those sorts of cars? Do you reckon they'll ever get a VW Polo off the ground again or something like that?
It's the same philosophy of the HQs and the Geminis, which ran for years, particularly in Queensland. You need something that's cheap and plentiful, and even my thing, the little Gets. I mean that could,
an i30.
Well, I mean, that's a little bit more expensive, but yeah, they're the sorts of cars that you want something that's a really big sell. Perhaps Toyota Corolla or something. But that's even if we have sort of, who knows by the time.
I'll tell you what's depreciated a lot more over the last probably 10 years than I thought, and they've mass produced them, and there's a few, and obviously they have a top end price of 50, 60 grand. Well, but there's a lot of them around. I start to see some of them sub 10 grand now, and that's a Mini. So
that's a problem. I don't know how many I don't think they sold that many in Australia though. I mean, they'd be a good car for it, but They're the one that hasn't caught on. I mean, they do race them in New South Wales, and they're quite popular. But the one that really hasn't caught on, which has really caught on around the world, is the MX-5, the Mazda.
Mm.
Mazda MX-5, racing all over the world, and Mazda supported in many countries as well. And in England, in the United States, lots of places. Mazda MX-5 racing is very very popular. Huge fields, good little cars for racing. Proper little sports cars. Yeah, they're really great, but hasn't really taken. But yeah, in New South Wales, they do run them at the state level. And I think the fields are reasonable there, but we certainly haven't seen them down here in Victoria at all in any sort of numbers. But yeah, that'd be interesting. But at the moment, I mean, they've got, obviously there are Excels everywhere. I think the last time I heard, just in Victoria alone, there was about 150 logbooks, which is inside. That's just crazy. 150, logbooks for one category is just off the chart. But yeah, so they're running the Trans Am, the TA2 cars are running out at Sandown as well. The big V8s, the American, the Mustangs, the Dodge Challengers, and the Camaro. They're running
Music
out
to
there.
our ears.
Yeah, they'll be fun. They'll be fun at Sandown. They'll be good to have a look at. We'll do something. We're going out to Sandown on Saturday, and doing some filming. So hopefully we'll have some actual cars going around in circles sometime next week on the YouTube channel, and we'll have a bit of a look at some of the cars that are running around at Sandown on the weekend. And then on Sunday, I'm going to go down. I'm at least trying to get down to Phillip Island. We got the word yesterday that they are going to let limited numbers of media in, and I'm one of them. So we'll go down there and hopefully do a little bit down there as well. Big field. What their field is supercarts. The supercarts have sort of
Mm.
stepped in to replace, in a way, the Formula Ford. Has Formula Ford been a really big part of Isle of Magic over the years? And this time, Formula Fords have decided to go to Sandown instead, which is it's such a shame that the two meetings overlap, because it's affected fields in both for both things, but particularly down at Island Magic. The Formula Fords, the historic Formula Ford guys, apparently said no, we're going to race at.
I said that to you a couple of weeks when we were on full course yellow to everyone. I said that you watch, if they open the gates or the doors in the state here, everyone will be jumping on the tarmac to try and get their vehicle or whatever tires out there to run around. And it's not surprising. As I said, this could go ahead all the way through till next year, through the whole of summer. Everyone's going to try and have a meeting or an event or a festival or a show or some sort of showcase, and it's going to be a lot of clashes. I think doesn't matter what it is.
Speaking of showcase, up in Darwin for Hidden Valley next year, they're reviving the old triple challenge idea from Eastern Creek and also from Calder back in the day, where they're going to have the supercars, the super bikes, and drag racing all at the one meeting. That'll be a good
Sensational.
party to go to.
Yeah, that's just mouth-watering. I mean, you're going to get every man, his dog, and these and Kelpie along to go and watch that. It's like if you're just a fan of motorsport, you're going to be there. If you like cars more, you're going to be there because there's not much else coming to Australia at the present time. I mean, there's even there's not much even other events, other sports are. It's so much deliberation. Formula One still, here, there, maybe there. It's on, it's off. Australian
Yeah,
Open
well,
with tennis.
they've
So
cancelled. They've cancelled, or at least they've postponed the superbike round at Phillip Island, which is normally the opening. They've postponed that until later in the year, and that's going to be replaced by another 2+4 meeting, which is going to be the bikes. Once again, the Australian Superbike Championship and the TCR, the Australian
ARG.
Racers Group stuff. Speaking of the Australian Racers Group, Barry
Mm.
Rogers, son of Gary, Barry, son of Gary,
No,
has
brother.
has bought into the Australian Races Group. He's bought a share in that because, as he said, where they're heavily invested in it. Because we have a look at it, they're basically running and preparing all the S5000s. They've got a few TCR cars running as well. And of course, now that Australian GT with the Stefan Rattel Group, they've got a partnership with the ARG as well. And Gary Gary Rogers Motorsport has done some preparation on a couple of GT cars out there as well. So in terms of him growing the Gary Rogers Motorsport brand, the Australian Racers Group is pretty important. So he's put his hand up, put his hand in his pocket, and shown some faith in this thing, and it's going to be interesting next year because it's a really good package, that Australian Racing Group package. It's all going to be shown on Channel 7 every single round, so we can't say, oh, you can't watch it if you don't have pay TV. No, it'll be probably 7, mate.
Well, just correct me if I'm wrong. They bought it off Mr. Boyd, didn't they? I think, and didn't they also acquire back in mid 2019 the TCM, the Touring Car Masters, as well?
Yeah, they got
and that's just been recently voted as in obviously
most popular category.
Most popular category outside the main events at the moment, most support category. So they've, as you said, the package has just got better, and Gary and Barry and all the rest of the crew there at Rogers Motorsport. Well, they're just calling themselves Rogers Motorsports at the moment rather than GRM.
Every time
Entertainment Plus.
Every time I hear sort of Gary and Barry, I always think of Newhart, the old Newhart. They were the characters. I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl, and this is my other brother Daryl.
Yeah. That's the old saying. Johnny, and Johnny, get back to the trailer. Your dinner's ready. Anyway.
So anyway, that's coming out. But yeah, it'll be good to get down Isle of Magic. 30 years of Isle of Magic. We've been a part of it, obviously, for 24. From the first year we did the show, Isle of Magic, and we gave it the name, sort of Schoolies for Petrol Heads, because it always had that last last day of school vibe to it. It's not a part of the Victorian State Championship. It's just a standalone meeting where you go down there. It's a real old-fashioned meeting. And I remember one of the best days we ever was we were filming down there, but it was we were more interested in having a good day out. And there was myself and Melissa and Richard came down as well. There was a couple of us down there, and we went down and we found a nice place on the grass under a tree where we could see a lot of the track, and we put the picnic blanket down, and we had in the days when you could have a bottle of wine at the track, we had a bottle of wine and some really good food, and we just watched cars all day, and we had an absolute ball, and it was a great memory, and it was it's a terrific meeting, and it's a shame it obviously won't be the same this year, but it is a shame that that it conflicts with Sandown. I mean, it's obviously cost them the numbers in Formula Ford. And
have you heard any figures on IRG? How many they're going to? They said they're going to take spectators at Sandown. Have you heard what the cap is there for
this weekend?
Yes.
Oh, for the AMRS, yeah. There's no, as far as I know, there's no figures. They're not going to open the grandstand. They're only going to open Red Hill, and you've got to pre-book. So if there's anybody out there in Melbourne and you want it, it's going to be a good weather-wise. It's going to be pretty warm, but it'll be a fantastic day out, because I really like. Red Hill's a great place.
Oh.
Racing at Sandown, because as you said, you go up, you park your car there, and once again you can take out your camping chairs, and you can have a barbecue, and you once again they're saying you can't have a drink because of the alcohol. You probably can have a drink, but anyway.
Well, I was going to say I'm associated with a couple of car clubs here in Melbourne, as people know me, and Red Hill is a absolute fave to park your car. The clubs get there. Obviously, it won't be happening this weekend, but Red Hill, because you can overlook the whole course, as you said, you basically can see probably 90% of it. Even if take your binnies along, take your binoculars along, and you can see a little bit further. Pack something under the seat as well, though, too. Maybe some sort of liqueur or a drink or a beverage that might have a little bit of spice to it. And you can, as you said, the weather's going to be magnificent. But Red Hill, fan favourite, because you can basically look down the main straight, watch the cars go and enter pit lane, come across, go through some of the turns and twists, and also the last turn just before the pit pit there can be quite entertaining sometimes with people crossing themselves up. We've caught a few bits and pieces on the action there, haven't we, Brett?
Well, we filmed from the, because you can't film from the end of the where we used to film as they come over the hill and down through the S's down to Dandenong Road. The runoff area there's an area behind the runoff area where everybody filmed for years. And when they had the upgrade, they banned filming and photographers from that spot, which is pretty a bit of a nuisance. So we've got to actually film from the spectator area if we want to, unless we go to the inside of the track. And the problem is, if we go to the inside of the track, we're stuck there. We've also got to jump over several fences, and my fence jumping days are long gone. So yes,
sorry, I just remember when we got rained on last time we were at Sandown. We got poured on. We were across one side, and we got back across, and it started running. We got back, and we were just switching back and forth. And we got lots of filming done, but not much footage.
Well, that's the problem. If you're going in just on a bad day weather-wise, and you go anywhere on the infield, if you go onto because I like to film. I personally like to, because I like to be basically by myself and just filming and being nice and quiet and all the rest. So I'll go to the inside of turn 2 and 3, going up the off the main straight, and then going up to the old Peter's Corner or Tirana Corner or whatever that it was there. That's a really good spot, because that's we get them coming towards. They go through that little chicane and then round the corner. So I like to get on the inside there. But the problem is once you get on the inside there, it can be really hard to get out again. And if you suddenly get, I remember a couple of years ago there was a massive storm came through, and I saw it coming, and so I bolted early, and I didn't, and I just managed to escape it, get into the tunnel, and keep the camera. But there was a young woman there filming for Blendline TV, and her equipment got absolutely soaked. And I'm not sure how the camera survived there and all the rest of it. But as I say, when it starts raining, we put the camera, because we don't get paid for this. And I'm not standing out in the rain and risking our cameras, risking our gear in torrential rain.
That's it. These days you've got to have your phone on you and keep an eye on the radar and see what bands are coming over. That's it's almost a necessity, is keep an eye on your radar and watch what's coming through on your 52k, 50 and the 128k radius. Look what's around the area. The good thing is Stuart's trying to join us there.
He's just connecting to audio. He's probably doing some wiring,
bubbling away there.
Yeah, he will make it. Once again, he's being fashionably late, so he will join.
He's trying to fade in. We fade out on a lot of our shots on the show when we're in the studio. Is he trying to fade in? Is he?
He's trying to fade in. He's been up all night doing stuff on office hours on with the Americans, and so he's working to American time at the moment, because I'll get there, like, the thing starts at about 2 a.m. our time, and then I'll look at the recording, and it'll say last night's office hours went 3.5 hours, and I thought, oh my god. I'm not staying up. I'm not staying up that late.
That's just starting to get dawn. You're just starting to get a bit of light out there. 5:30.
Well, we're almost, because of the way. So the problem is, because of the way that daylight savings worked in America, we're almost a full 24 hours ahead, because they start at like 6 a.m. Pacific time, and we're starting sort of 2 a.m. the next day. So we're almost a full day ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's really freaky. They say, good morning, it's a beautiful Thursday, and you go, no, it's a beautiful Friday. Yeah.
It wasn't a beautiful Thursday. Bloody thunderstorms and rain all day. I don't know what bloody planet you're on, but anyway, planet America. And so boom boom. Just another thing. Well, speaking of overseas and that sort of stuff, did you see the official dollars for the Formula One drivers? We weren't far off the mark a couple of weeks ago when we were guessing on how much they were getting paid. And congratulations, Daniel Ricciardo, you came third, just not in the standings for the year, just on money you got paid.
Which is another reason for from what for the rumor going around is that he's taken quite the pay cut to go to McLaren. So yeah, he's obviously. I mean, he's leaving for all the right reasons because he thinks he's going to be a lot more successful. Out.
There's a little rumor going around. Renault set up car. Come on, don't you want to stay again? We can change your mind.
Yeah, well, they didn't want him. They didn't want him to leave. There's no doubt about it. They wanted him. They certainly wanted him to stay. And yeah, you can imagine it would be a really good pairing next year if they had because Ocon's been a real disappointment. I think I was really expecting Ocon. It's like when they announced the signing, I thought, oh, this will give Daniel this will give him a real check because Ocon's rated really, really highly by a lot of people in Formula One. Toto Wolff is apparently very, very, was very, very high on him, and quite frankly, I think he's been very disappointing.
Yeah.
Sebastian Vettel's going to get his pay cut to go to Aston Martin. He's number 2 in the world at the moment as far as getting paid. Not forgetting the results, but I think there was only
Pete. You were saying something.
I was just agreeing that Ocon's been disappointing.
Yeah, he certainly has been there, and but yeah, now he's got Alonso beside him. That'll be. Do you think? What do you think of Alonso coming back? Do you think he's? I don't think this is going to work. I think this is going to be a sort of Schumacher to Mercedes type thing. I think he's been out. I reckon he's been out of it too long.
I think that, and they worry me when they do that. It's like, it's like you're going to kill yourself. It's not worth killing yourself for. I thought Schumacher would actually get either gravely injured or killed coming back. Ironically, it was skiing that.
It was, yeah, that's it. It was skiing, but I mean, yeah, like Alonso's still obviously a really good driver. I mean, we saw in the World Endurance Championship and also at at Indy 500 level that he was good, but he's just been out of it just a little. And there's so many talented young drivers in Formula 2 and Formula 3 for that matter, sort of waiting for their.
Hulkenberg's not as old, but he's made it work.
Who's that?
Hulkenberg's
not as old, but he made it work.
He hasn't been out for as long.
Yeah, he's only come back for sort of like one-offs. I mean, in terms of like if he's been more impressive, the fact that he's just been he's become the super sub. It's like if we need to throw somebody into the car. That's he's the guy that you get in there. We've got the car. They're going to Bahrain this weekend, and it's a unfortunately it's for us. It's a night race, so I think it's about what time Pete? What time is it? Do you know?
The race itself is 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'll go to bed early and get up.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be a late night, early morning on Sunday into Monday, and I'll have been at Phillip Island all day, and I'll have had to have got up at about 6. So I'm not sure that I'm going to be watching the Grand Prix live on Monday.
Always tape it. Speaking of Super Sub, though, MotoGP is bringing back the wildcard entries for bikes next year in the Premier class. And in the obviously the lower class, Moto 2, they'll have super subs as well too. It's a limit of 2 per race on that weekend for the main race, and it's only 3 allowed for the whole season for a team, except for Aprilia. Aprilia gets extra concessions; they get 6. So
they got the
it gives the
Ferraris
opportunity
deal or something. How do they? Why do they get extra?
It's just the same old days, and then they just haven't got the development, and they haven't got the package, and probably the engine horsepower. They haven't got all the ponies working the way they should be as efficiently as possible. So I mean, like we're saying, Gas is joining next year in the Moto 3 category, but last week. But yeah, it's good to have it. It gives the wild cards. One, it gives the 2 things. It gets to see maybe your fan favorite like Jorge Lorenzo. There's people out there that love him. That he could have jumped on a bike this year if someone was injured, maybe a Marc Marquez or something. And next year, Cal Crutchlow's had his last race. He's had a bit of a stellar career, 3 wins over his career, and a fair amount, a respectable amount of podiums, and also a couple of poles. So Cal Crutchlow is going to be test riding and at the backup for Yamaha next year. So he has had the opportunity, if they need someone to jump on a bike who can throw it around for a day and is still fairly fit for it, and also, just as you say, not long out of the game, you can put them on there without much risk, and get some data and some experience out of it for all the people out there, and keep that whatever sponsorship they've got on the bike out there. So yeah, it's wildcard entries I think are pretty important to the MotoGP.
The good thing about wildcard entries is they had them in particularly in Moto 2 or in the old days of the 250s and even the 125 when they came out to Australia. There was always that small handful of local riders, and they were the people we used to get on the show. We talked to them, and they said, "Look, we can't give you any of the big guys coming through, but we've got the local wild cards in 250s." And they would come in on the show there, so it gives them more of a local angle. If obviously we've got Jack Miller at the moment, but if you don't have a local angle, it'd be really great. I mean, it probably won't happen. He'd probably say no, but just imagine the buzz if they said, "Oh, we've got a wild card for Phillip Island next year. His name is Casey Stoner."
Yeah. Oh, just on all quickly on the bikes as well too. It's been a massive week for the Gardner family. Remy won his first Moto 2 race, so there's the switch to the team he's jumped on board with has certainly paid dividends immediately. And I watched the documentary on Wayne Gardner and on the ABC, how they've been doing a 4-part series on Peter Brock, Wayne Gardner, Steve Waugh, and the other one eludes me right now, the fourth one. But Gardner was this week, and it was...
Who was it, Pete?
Sorry, Pete?
It was the Indigenous cricket team.
That's it. Yeah, they're the first.
Oh, right. Yeah. And it was a real eye-opener. I mean, obviously, we know there was the Brock one we've watched and related, but the Wayne Gardner one, I got a lot more. I know bikes a little bit better than I know cars to a certain extent sometimes, depending on what subject it is. It was a real opener because I think a lot of people in Australia don't realise how much he had to do with bringing the Grand Prix to Australia. This is obviously pre-Mick Doohan days. And also there was Kevin McGee and a couple other Aussies that were, Darryl Beattie and stuff like that. But what the biggest eye-opener was for the documentary was that he didn't mind exposing and let the footage go, and also talked about it too in a current day setting, on how emotional he was from day to day, week to week, race to race, and the rivalry he had with the other competitors in depth. And they got some really great interviews from, Lawson and Momola and a couple of other people that were on the circuit. And of course, obviously, people that were in his own team on how he was dealing with it. Also, his ex-wife jumped on board as well too. They still remain good friends. So I think it was really in depth. I think they went to a lot of trouble with the Gardner one to get some real feeling into the show. And it was respectively a great, well-produced, and it was a bit of, as I said, a complete eye-opener on people's and the feelings as associated with racing, not just the results.
Because that's the I'm pretty sure it's on iView at the moment. So if you missed it, I must admit I missed it, and I want to catch up with it. So I think it is on iView, on ABC iView. So check it out.
Doc,
it did get really.
Yes, Stuart.
What did you think about the section where Wayne Gardner was talking about the use of a sports psychologist and how it helped him to increase his performance both on and off the track, and the mental game, and being able to get ahead of the riders that way? Great.
That's an excellent point, Stuart. When he talked about, and you've obviously watched the whole documentary too, he's sort of in channel surfing for you. He sort of did it in retrospect, like he'd been using the psychologist for 2 years, completely unbeknownst basically to maybe his wife and maybe only a couple of people close to him within the team, probably not even some people within the team would know. And therefore, when he opened up about it, and said, I've been using it for 2 years, and even told a couple of his competitors. I think it was Lawson, he admitted. Lawson was like, oh, really? Is that the advantage that you've had over me? You've just been thinking you can beat me rather than actually just pure skill or going out there and racing. So I think that is probably what you're saying, Stuart, making a fair point about is it was probably the initials. Back then it was called the sports psychologist is what you were doing. And it was completely unknown. You might have 1 in 20 people, 1 in 50 people. These days, it's just part and parcel with any professional athlete. Not only are they have a personal trainer, they have a high performance coach, they have probably a statistics person, they have so many, the support group. I mean, you know what it's like, the people that are going around with Rafa Nadal and Serena Williams. You got one athlete and you got about 50 people that are doing everything for him, including the social media. They just own the phone and they just put out tweets for him. So, and as Brett says on In Pit Lane, what is Instagram? However, why do we do Instagram? However, the sports psychologist thing, getting back to the point, is I think that everyone has one now, and whether it's their role, what's they're called, or whatever that's their terminology that they use, there is someone within their team that they have to, when they debrief, or they have to bounce their ideas off or their feelings off, or have to be there for them to be able to express themselves. And some people, everyone's different in this world. No one's the same. So some people handle it better and like to keep it a little bit more to themselves, but still need to talk about it. Others just need to open up the floodgates and talk about it. Whereas Wayne Gardner's obviously way was he needed someone to just say to him, okay, how'd you do that? Well, you can do it better, can't you? Why don't you? And I think that just made him, especially on one race, he was on teetering all the way through the season with about 2 races to go. And he had a slender points lead on his first world championship. And he'd been for a couple of races there, he'd just been teetotaling around, coming in 3rd, coming in 4th, just getting some points and just sitting behind him. And Mamola and Lawson just said, "Oh, we've got this guy. We're just trash him into every single race. We'll just go out there and we've got the confidence. We're going to beat him." And I think it was about 2 races to go, and he went, "I've had enough of this. This is driving me insane. I just can't sit off the back of these guys and just dwindle and just putt home all the time." So he just, one particular race, the support psychologist was involved and said, just go out there. And he just went for it. He just absolutely threw himself on the bike at it. And I think he won by 40 something seconds. Stuart, did you see that part?
I missed that part. But
Yeah.
one of the points that I thought was important, especially given what everybody's going through at the moment, is where he was speaking about how the attitude towards the use of a psychologist, especially with the culture of the time, it wasn't common and blokes just weren't doing it. Whereas now it's, if you've got a sports psychologist you can go to, if you've got other problems, you can maybe find out how to deal with them better. And it makes things easier for everyone, or it makes things nicer for everyone.
Certainly does. And everyone deals with things better because, as you said, it has that flow-on effect, doesn't it, Stuart?
Yep.
It's
Whereas the only
funny.
thing that's going to flow on now is the water, because I've been cleaning.
It's interesting back in the days, moving on to like another sport and sports psychologist. Back in the dominant days of the West Indies cricket team, Dr. Rudy Webster was. A lot of the team, the team put down a lot of their success to him as being being a sports psychologist and a motivator who gave them that belief in themselves, because they always felt sort of playing, we're playing second fiddle to the Englishmen. We're not, we're not as good as the English or the Australians and all the rest. And he collectively, got, particularly with that incredible fast bowling cartel that they had for so long. He just basically got involved with them, and he actually ended up also working with the Richmond Football Club as well. He was with them for quite a few years. So Dr. Rudy Webster was credited as doing a lot for the success of West Indies. So yeah, I mean, it's like Jackie Stewart used to say. It's like that first win is so important, because it's like, you try and you try and you try and you think, am I ever going to win? Am I ever going to win? Have I got what it takes? And suddenly you do win, and you go, yeah, I have. Damn it, I have got what it takes, and I've done it once, and so I can do it again. And pretty much everybody who has won once they've won their first race have said, I was so much more confident coming back and saying, yeah, well, okay, I've proven it now. I can win a race, and I can come back and I can win. And I've won one, I can win two. If I can win two, I can win a lot more.
And
I think the most sorry, Pete, go.
And although Pierre Gasly hasn't won again, after he won, he's actually gone up the order and done quite well.
And he said the same sort of thing. I mean, he went in the interviews that I've seen with him. That's basically what he said. He said, I feel so much more confident now, and I feel that my name is there. It's on the winners list. I have won a Grand Prix, and I feel a lot more. I feel a lot more. I feel like I belong now. I feel like that. I am. He can go, even if he never wins another race again, he can always say, yes, I am a Grand Prix winner, and that's. That's important.
A good release, but I don't recommend it for everyone, or maybe some people once in a blue moon, is the way Barry Sheen did with his sports psychologist was a pack of smokes and a bottle of something, and it made it work for him every single meeting before and after the race. So, rest God bless old Barry Sheen. But yeah,
isn't that the Jimmy Barnes method?
No, it probably transludes to that as well too. Yeah, until he found out he wanted to keep living. Yeah, he wanted to stay alive, and he thought, I've got some health problems. I better stop doing this.
Yeah, Barnesy, is still around to tell the tale. Unfortunately, Barry and James Hunt aren't. I mean, they were. This is it. You live fast, die young, sort of thing. That's a shame. Yeah, Barry was a terrific. We interviewed him a couple of times and just and got to sort of only got to know him a little bit but he was a lovely guy. Although today, I mean, if he was commentating today, it's like a lot of things from back then. Probably wouldn't last very long. There's footage around of Barry Sheen saying some pretty extraordinary stuff, and if some of it ever had got out, particularly in this day and age, he would have been in a lot of trouble. But it's funny. The launch of supercars when Tony Cochran, when IMG took over and rebranded the Australian Touring Car Championship and turned them into supercars. They had the launch at Sandown, at the Sandown 500, I think it was, or it could have been the Touring Car Championship round. But either way, it was at Sandown. And I got in late. And this was before the show. This was before I was doing the show, but I was doing some other stuff for an American magazine. And I turned up late, and basically everybody was. And I said, I got here late, and Barry was the only one in the tent at the time. And so he told me what was going on, and we're just talking, and he's saying, it's going to be really, really good. It's going to be so more professional now. And I think, hang on a second. And he just bolted, and there's two sort of, like grid girls sort of wandering past, and, excuse me, girls, yeah, hi, how are you? Yeah, come on up. Yeah, you local, are you? I'm only in town. Here's my, give me a call. And
I was going to say, you might have seen me on things like TV and
the Shell advert and all the rest of it.
You look great without. I was going to say you look great without your high heels on.
Oh.
But anyway,
he was incorrigible, but he came back and he went, just putting in a bit of work for tonight, a bit of leg work for tonight. So, but he was a really lovely, he was a lovely guy. He was good to interview.
Yeah.
He was just then obviously a terrible shame that what happened, and but anyway, that's
Speaking of a lovely guy, we were a good friend, and we've mentioned him once to the Blue Moon, the whole family. Good luck to Clay Richards, who's racing at Bathurst this weekend. I think he might have got out on the track today. It's up there. Bathurst is having an event for 4 days, and he's in a Toyota 86, screaming around in his first probably tin top style car outside an open wheeler, and Steve's up there with him as well too. So good luck to the Richards family, and Clay especially, having his first tour around Bathurst at whatever those Toyota 86s can master up in speed on down Conrod Straight.
that meeting is Challenge Bathurst, which is has become really, really popular. And the thing is, because it's not a race meeting as such, they can sort of take some of the restrictions off the GT3 cars, and that's how you get sort of the ridiculously fast times. But even today, I mean, sort of people like Luke Youlden and that were going out there, and they're already into the 205s and these are like obviously Luke is a good driver, but a lot of the so-called amateur drivers are still in the 205s, and it's the first day of competition, so there's no rubber down on that track. It hasn't had a meeting since the 1000. So, they're running this. It'd be interesting over the next few days to see what lap times that they can get down to there for the GT3 cars. Luke's confidently predicting he'll be into the 203s or even lower. So. That's pretty quick around Mount Panorama, that's for sure.
Oh, I was going to say, geez, I was lucky enough to see the McLarens and Bentleys and Porsches and Mercs early this year. Which seems like a lifetime ago, but getting down to those. We're not getting down to the Continentals, Bentley Continentals, but we're getting down to some low numbers there. Who knows? Unofficially, it could be a flat 2 somewhere then in it if they get some restrictions off those cars, as you said.
Yeah, well, they can do that. Our own Richard Outram was going to go up there. I don't think he's made it though. I looked at the timing today, and I didn't see him listed anywhere. But I mean, he might not have run today. He might be only going out for the 3 days. But I haven't heard from Richard for a week or two. So, and I know he was talking. There was a lot of confusion because of the border situation. There was a lot of confusion as to whether Victorians would be allowed up there at the time. So I think that he was putting off going there, but once again they got a really good turnout. But it's run by Yeehaw, and they were the people who sort of revived the 12-hour and got it, and then it was like they built it up, and same with the 6-hour. They built it up, and then other people came in and sort of took over. But Yeehaw are still running the Challenge Bathurst. And from everything I've heard, it's a really, really fun weekend. I've heard from a few people saying, "Hey, listen, if if the 12-hour has got sort of a little bit too big for you now, or the even the 6-hour, if you want to go up to Bathurst." And the other thing is, if you've got Doc, you and your you'd have to put a cage in or something like that, but you can take a road car up there. You can pretty much run anything there because it's a club sprint. You can just go up there, and as long as it meets the safety regulations, you can go up. And that's why Richard wanted to go up in his Excel. He said, I want to do fast laps at Bathurst as everybody does.
Yep. Yeah, you hit the nail right in the head.
And it frightened the life out of me because I've been around there, but it's
fast. I don't think those two words work together, Brett. Excel, fast. Yeah.
Well, fast enough. I mean, I drove around there just
as fast as a gust of wind can blow a car down the Conrod Straight. How's that, Stuart?
I was thinking gravity out of the back of the helicopter. Yeah.
Well, that's.
Okay. Well, let's try and combine. Let's get a good 20, 30 knot breeze behind the helicopter down Conrod Straight with some nice sunshine. Be in that direction. That might get the most out of it. Do you think, Stuart? We'll put all those facets together, aspects.
It'll need everything like that.
Maybe a couple of extra weights in the front bumper, just to get an extra gravity out of it too.
Take the belts off this time.
Paint it red. We're going to get really silly now.
Disconnect the air conditioning.
There's a story
there.
I've actually heard in court someone say in the witness box, Your Honour, my truck wouldn't go that fast if I pushed it off a cliff.
Yeah, I think wasn't there. There was a while ago. It was a famous case with somebody who the speed camera claimed that their Datsun 120Y was doing about 180 kilometres an hour, and they said the same thing. I think the line from the solicitor was the only way that's going to do 180 kilometres an hour is if you drop it from a helicopter.
You just made me remind me of something, Brett. You just said the word line, and I won't go into elaborate too much on that, but I sent you a little message this afternoon, and we have to mention the passing of probably one of the greatest soccer players this world's ever seen, which is Yeah, and we lost Diego Maradona. And did you get those little shots I sent you as well today?
I got the
And-
thing, but Pete, when we were at lunch, it came through. We got there. Like I was saying to Pete, I mean, I understand Maradona. Everyone anybody who knows me knows that I'm a sports nut. I got there. The one sport that I just I have zero interest in is soccer. I played it at school, and it just does nothing for me. It's
Same here. But I did one of those ones I did know, because if anyone knows about Diego Maradona and his struggles in life while he was playing, especially after it, I'll clean this one up for you. But it was one of the funniest comments I've heard for a while. Yeah, yeah. Stuart, sorry, would you like a tissue there, Stuart? Hey,
I'll
have to send this to you. They said something along the lines of Diego Maradona. He has cut more lines than the kid at Disneyland, and that's cleaned up. so we'll leave that one there. Cut more lines than a kid at Disneyland. There you go.
Well, it's unfortunate. Like a lot of those guys. I mean, the guy was only 60. I mean, he's my age.
Yeah.
And, like you look at that and think, okay, a lot of people would say, yeah. Well, you're as old as Methuselah, but I mean that's and certainly at the moment after the last couple, and certainly after the last week, I feel that old. But the
I lost a good friend who was only 34 from a brain aneurysm a few weeks ago, as you know, too. So that's going to happen at any time.
I mean, that was obviously that was the thing that that was that was the thing that took Melissa from us. It was then she was only 46. I mean, it was just that's you don't know. I mean, but anyway, let's get on to a more positive subject. So do we?
I was just going to say the Giz is banned from his playing in the dirt.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's Roland has not come to the party. Roland has said no, and Shane will be really upset about that. I mean, he'll be very disappointed because he loves to get the car sideway. He loves to get out on the dirt in a midget speed car. I really like it. That everyone loves everyone loves sprint cars. Sprint cars are amazing. If you've never been to the Speedway and you get the opportunity to go out and see a big sprint car event, please take it because they are amazing. However, personally for me, I love the midgets. I reckon they're just great cars. They provide great racing, and he was going to race. Race one in New Zealand over the summer, but Roland.
I think the problem was he's done a couple. He's done a couple of events. Like he's just done 2 rally events over there. And he's done 1 run in the midget in the Speedway. However, I think what raised the flag was Triple Eight I'll say Triple Eight in general were happy for him to do some bits and pieces, just like all drivers do a bit of fun on the off season. But he committed to and made it public he was going to do a full season. He was going to do every single race in it, and I think that's where they went. A couple of cameos would have been good, but not. You just every time you race, you're creating more risk, I suppose. Especially and look, I'm sure it has all the safety specifications that they should have for that sort of stuff. But there's a little bit less cover around you, a little bit more risk of being injured and in those sorts.
They do fly around. I mean, it's one of the reasons. When they come together and they take off, they really, Robert. They are a very as safe as anything can be in any sort of motorsport, and in that sort of motorsport in particular, they're as safe as anything. Like they're built to crash basically. And but unfortunately, there have been some obviously some serious injuries and fatalities in both sprint cars and speed cars, but they're a very strong car.
The Sprinter, you've at least got the wing that's going to wrap itself around the cage, but on the midgets, not so much.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's you got that, as you say, that added sort of thing where they fall on the thing. They've got a crumple, built-in crumple zone because of the because of the wing.
Good point.
But we're getting. It looks like like a lot of speedways are starting to come back. I've seen that I think Nyora. Speaking of midgets, Nyora have built a quarter midget track inside there for the kids. So if you've got any,
have they?
Yeah, so that's what they've been. So they haven't been wasting.
It's up and running.
doing their during COVID. They've gone out and they've as soon as they could get together again, they went out and they've built this this track. I haven't seen anything, but that'll be. But
is its location? Is it just beside the other track or something, or
probably on the inside? Probably probably
on the inside. Yeah, okay, yep.
So that will be good because as we said, like a few times, we went out last year and did some filming at Nyora, and it was a fabulous, apart from the weather we had to drive home in. It was a fabulous. We had the night ended early because of the weather, but.
Well, you and I had a fun night in the car on the way home. There was just one of the other passengers that didn't like storms. It was all. I don't think it was actually the weather or the car or the driver. It was actually he was just scared of storms because that particular person has been back in the car with me from Calder, falling asleep, driving along for hours, and also came back from Winton in the car with me and slept the whole trip. So I think it was just basically the storm that night. I think storms frightened him.
It was pretty wild. I mean, when you think there, I mean, we're going down the back way through all those and you couldn't see 2 feet in front of you. It was as slippery as, it was as wet as, it was. It poured with rain to there, but it was a really good night out. And as I keep saying, we would love to do more. We would love to do more speedway. The problem is that it's. Most of the speedways are in very difficult positions to get to. They're also on a lot of occasions. They're in positions where we can't get a signal out. And we were, as some of you would know, we were, I think we talked about it a little on the show last week, and we might have mentioned it, or it might have been after we pulled out of YouTube, but we were doing a live stream at Rob Roy Hillclimb this week, and we got the go ahead from the MG Car Club. They were delighted to have us go out and do that for us. And then I did a look at the coverage at the mobile car, and there was nothing. Literally, there was nothing there. And it was after I spoke to Wayne Rushton there. He said, "Oh yeah," he said you can use your mobile there, but you've got to get in the right position and stand completely still.
It's the other thing as well, though, too, if we can try and get there, is we had a lot of interest when we did Marvel Stadium and the Supercross last year, especially when they had the invitational international riders, which are mainly the Americans that come over, and we covered that event on the promotion on the Friday, Brett. And I did, and also, it got some heightened coverage. It really got some good reception. Really good, tens of thousands went to it as well too. They packed out Marvel Stadium to watch it. The closest thing we've probably got here in the middle of Melbourne here is we can't get to Broadford, where Mr. Motocross used to happen, and that used to everyone would flock from states to come and see Mr. Motocross because it was truly an Australasian event where it went all outside Australia, but also they used to have it through each state, all the motocross. But Laverton motocross tracks get a bit of interest. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I think, too, and you can get membership there, and they're talking about having some events. So. That's not too far away from the city around here, and we might get some dirt bike action on a purposely built track now for motorbikes for juniors and senior riders here in the middle of Melbourne.
Yeah, well, that'll be good. I mean, because obviously the bikes are very popular with particularly a lot of young people as well, and they're always looking for places to race. I mean, at the moment around here, it's up and down Pound Road and Somerville Road in Hampton Park, and that's a shoot. That's how the other night I came out of the shopping centre 2 nights ago, and it was driving up somewhere, and suddenly I heard this row, and I just looked, and two kids, no helmets, nothing, on one wheel, flying past on either side of the Gets. There on so one's passed on the inside of a suburban, like flat chat, and it's like and they're out there, they're doing that sort of thing all the time around here.
Just on that note, I was going to say they forget that some cars have cameras constantly recording them these days, and police will ask if anyone in that particular area at that particular time has any in-car camera footage. And number 2, you can check my GPS, Brett. I wasn't in your area that particular night on a bike as well, though, too. It wasn't me.
That's good. Well, I couldn't identify them because one, it was dark, and 2, at the moment, I'm absolutely blind when I take these off. So at the moment, things. Another
good reason that you should get in-car camera footage.
Yeah. Well, That's it. That's why. Yeah. But anyway, that's coming up. Yeah, I think that's so. What have we got this week? We got Formula One at Bahrain. And then locally we've got Sandown and Phillip Island. And as I said, spectators. I don't think spectators are allowed down at Phillip Island. Although, as they've been saying, you can get on the road there that runs alongside, where lots of people park around that on that side road there and just sort of look in, so you can see them coming through Siberia and going around the back up through Hayshed, through Tin Shed, and then up over Lukey Heights. You can probably stop and see them there. I'm not sure why. Once again, a lot of this is because the difference between Motorsport Australia, the artist formerly known as CAMS, and also AASA. The sort of the stuff that we've got to go through to get into Phillip Island, in terms of they're being very, very careful. They've got a very clear process to sort of get in that. Whereas at Sandown, they're being a lot more casual. They basically, they're following all the regulations they have to follow in terms of the government, but they're not over-egging the pudding, sort of thing. It's things are a little bit easy. And as I said, they're
appreciating people's interest by the sound of things. So they're encouraging people to come along and enjoy.
You do have to, if you want to go, you have to pre-book. You have to go to the Australian Motor Racing Series website and pre-book. I think it's
that's what I mean. They need to have a formal registration of the people that are attending the event, because if there was something to happen, everyone has to be accounted for, and they can also have what people were airing, and that way they can be contacted if they need to obviously take some time off work or spend just to find out exactly their whereabouts, their location. So
that was it. I mean, Pete and I, we were at lunch today, and we had to, go through. We had to sign into the place, and we had to sign out as well. We had to, and normally that's not the case. You've got to sign into the Dandy Club or show your card because it's a club, but you don't have to. But you had to leave. You had to leave them your phone number. You had to leave them details. And as I was leaving, as we were leaving, they said, "Oh no, you've got to sign out. So we've got to know how long you were here and where you were and all the rest."
I'll let you know. I've got a booking for the Moama Sports Club at 8 o'clock on Saturday night this week. So I'll be across the border, and I'll see how that goes and see when I have to give them identification. I'm a Victorian. I'll tell you what sort of reception I get because I'll be in New South Wales on Saturday night.
I've had some very good memories at the Moama.
So see if it's insurance, license, urine, blood, stool.
Firstborn, percentage of your superannuation, if you have any.
I can't give them blood at the moment. I'm running out pretty quickly.
The state's in trouble with blood. I only gave a few weeks ago, and I think we're only down. Last week they were appealing for people for the two most popular O positive and the second most popular. We're only down to 2 days supplies. I think they said if anyone's given blood lately, I don't know if you guys have, but they've got a great way of doing it. I've been doing it for all my life since I was 18, mostly on the north. And I've recently started doing it again in Pakenham because it's the closest branch, and I only don't do it that often. They're really great. They give you lots of treats and sweets and things to eat and drink afterwards. But you receive a lovely text message within about a week later, and it tells you exactly where your blood has gone to and who it's and not
that's good
a person's name. And the last one, not the last one I had, the previous one went to I think the Alfred or something like that. But I was really humbled to see the text message I got from the last one only a week or two ago went to the Peter McCallum Cancer for the kids. My blood went to, which was great to see. So yeah. If anyone's watching YouTube right now and you've given blood before or you can give blood, go out there and help someone.
Yeah, I haven't done it for a long time. One of the problems I have, whether I'm giving blood for the sake of giving blood or just getting the copious test done, is it takes like 3 hours to get a vein on me. It's like, I ended up usually come out with my arm absolutely black because it's like, no, that didn't, no, that didn't, no, that didn't, no, that didn't.
See how long you've just been talking. Guess how long it took me to bleed out. Because it's timed, of course. Have a guess how long it took me to fill mine.
No.
4
I've got no
minutes,
idea.
28 seconds. I bled out in 4 minutes, 28. Apparently almost a record. I just went bang it out. Oh, thanks for that. You're finished. Yeah. So less than 4 minutes 28 took me to fill it up for him before.
Usually if I-
So what you're saying, Doc, is you're a fast finisher. Just leave it there, guys. Just leave it there.
Boom.
Oh,
Come on, that was too easy. You set it up. I have to knock it down.
You should see my work after midnight when it's dark and the fangs come out.
Hey, listen, guys. I think that's. I think we've. I've got to.
We've digressed enough.
We have digressed enough. Now, remember, if you're watching the at any time, whether you're watching live or you're wanting, if you want to join us, like actually join the conversation, not just on now. We got Mad Cow Mark, Mad Cow Mark. We're talking about that Datsun 120Y, and then that story was 148 kilometres. He was that they claimed it was going. And as they said, he took the car somewhere or something. And
That's a 120Y. Yep. No.
Yeah, no, there ain't.
I know. Look, I got booked in a Mitsubishi Colt at 138, and I wasn't able to prove it was a Ford going past me.
You were
There's no way some cars
the Colt goes
will ever get to
138
those
k's.
speeds.
Yes. You weren't able to
Mitsubishi.
prove that a Mitsubishi Colt can actually get to 138 k's downhill.
Mate, the thing had no oil pressure over 110 k's.
Hey, don't forget, everyone's got a push bike that can go faster than the Mitsubishi Colt. Remember, Mitsubishi Colts have got a limitation on what they can go. Push bikes are unlimited.
Well, one member of our crew shall remain nameless.
Here we go.
He actually got done for speeding on a push bike going down Conrod Straight.
How they clock him? What?
Okay.
They clocked him because it was like the road was, it wasn't when it was a race, it was as before they closed the track.
I think I can visualize which particular person that was and
Their
the
initials
off-road
aren't CS,
racing
are they?
format that he got involved in later.
Might be Christian Schmidt. He got he got done for speeding on Conrad Street. I don't think they didn't. From what I remember, they didn't charge. They basically said we could charge you.
I've got two questions from that. Was he wearing a helmet, and two, was he waving a flag when he was going down there?
I don't think he was right. I think he was in the tucked position, heading down and going flat out, just to see how fast he could go. And he found out that he could go faster than 60 k's an hour.
The reason why I think that's funny, probably like yourself, Brett, and probably you, Stuart. I've actually been around the track with Stuart, with Christian in the car, so at Bathurst. So that's why I find it funny. On a push bike.
What was the number he was booked at?
Well, he was. As I said, he wasn't. He was over 60. I don't think he was much over, but he was over. I think he was over 60 or something. But it was whatever speed it was. The cops were saying.
Anybody know the road that's a run from Gisborne to Bacchus Marsh, and where it goes past Merrimew, it sort of dives over? It's very downhill.
You're talking purple bunyip country now, so I've got no idea. If it's
98 kilometres an hour on a push bike.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be.
Yes, it was downhill, and yes, it was scary.
That's not your average Melbourne Star.
There is on YouTube, incidentally, people riding long skateboards and that sort of down coming out and
gravity races go so fast, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's pretty wild footage.
What was
there's something if we ever get the opportunity to live stream, we have to do, and that's gravity races.
Remember a couple of years ago, KFC did an ad with Pluck a Duck on a skateboard going down a very steep descent, and he was like elbow, knee, he was dragging, and that would have been at minimum 80 k an hour as well, though. Too. That thing was absolutely hell on wheels.
Yeah, and I seem to remember he had got a bit of a speed wobble up at one stage, and it was like obviously like obviously whoever was in the. So it wasn't the usual guy. It wasn't Crystal in the suit. It was somebody who could actually really skate. And
it was at least up to Tony Hawk's status. At least it's someone who could it was a professional skater for sure.
But
had to be.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, as I said, if you would like to join the panel, you're more than welcome. All you have to do is send us a link to to fill out the form, the dot form, and just request it there. Or you can send us an email at theshow@inpitlane.com, theshow@inpitlane.com, and just say, hey, I'd like to join you guys on Thursday night, wherever you are in Australia, wherever you are in the world. If you're, we'd love to have some people, Giz, if you're over there, Shane, by all means join us. Anybody who wants to join us from anywhere. The local time here is 9 o'clock of a Thursday night, and as I said, that's just us getting together because obviously at the moment. The show isn't on the air because it was I made the decision to pull the plug because I was just sort of doing it like this basically, and that's not the real show. That's not in Pit Lane. That's not the full on studio production in the studios.
Where do we get the band?
Just along those lines, when people want to come on the show, come on and tell us what the fastest you've been in a non-motorized vehicle or to wheels or something like that.
If you're a competitor, if you're an official, a volunteer marshal, congratulate! Yes, that was what we're going to do. Congratulations to all of the marshals, volunteer marshals at the Australian Grand Prix who have been named by the FIA as the world number one marshals for 2020. I think that it was acknowledged that with all of the chaos that went on with that meeting, and it's like I don't know whether he said it publicly. I know he spoke privately with Eugenia Rocker, and he said I think he did say it on our interview later. So have a look on the thing. But he was pointing out that as he was driving in on that Friday morning before they pulled the plug, because they said on the night, if any of you are uncomfortable about being here, if any of you would rather stay, we will understand. We're not going to force any of volunteers. We approve, but we're not going to force anybody to do anything at all that they don't want to do or that they feel uncomfortable about. So if you want to stay home, and he said he was driving in expecting that there were going to be very limited numbers or perhaps even no one there, and I think he said they did not have a single withdrawal.
Yep, and that's a credit to him. He said he was very proud and almost he felt very emotional on your interview. I remember saying specifically that every single marshal, because he was afraid that he would get there and they would not have a full complement, because if the event did go ahead, that they wouldn't be able to hold it anyway because they wouldn't have enough of the officials in the right spots at the right time.
And that's what he was worried about in terms of, that's why there was that whole delay with pulling the plug on it, because of all of the legal things of deciding who was actually going to pull the plug. Because if whoever pulled the plug first was going to get sued. I mean, if Andrew Westacott and the Grand Prix board had have turned around and said we're pulling the plug, or if CAMS or Motorsport Australia said we're going to pull the plug, and I think that's what Eugenia Rocker was concerned about, that he might have to go and then say, sorry guys, we just cannot provide, we just don't have enough marshals to make this happen. So that would have been a real problem. He was feeling really, really nervous about I'm going to go in there, I'm going to see these guys, and we're going to do the head count, not enough people. We could be in trouble. But absolutely everybody turned up, and so I think they deserve it, and they've got a very good reputation. That's why sort of marshals, volunteer marshals in Australia are. If the Vietnamese Grand Prix, if the Vietnam Grand Prix had have happened this year, there would have been full of us. The Singapore Grand Prix, the marshals were trained by Australians. Lots of Australians go over there and help them out. Same with Malaysia, right throughout the region. Australian marshals and the training of Australian marshals is very well respected around the world. And if you're interested, and you don't have the money, if you're like sort of me, and you've never had the money to actually go out and buy a race car and have a career in racing, and you just want to get involved, and you don't want to do a weekly television show, and I would recommend you don't, become a marshal. It's a lot cheaper, and you get the best seat in the house. And look, I've had flack, and you
get more sleep.
You don't get that much more sleep because they do work incredibly long days. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Stuart and I, we always say, don't we? I mean, we are in pit lane, first to arrive, last to leave. But usually the marshals, the flaggies, and all the rest of it, they're certainly the first to arrive, and they leave pretty late as well. So
They're last to leave because those veggie burgers are damn good down there at Phillip Island at the end of the day as well, though.
That's something. If you're going down to the island on the weekend, unfortunately, there will be no veggie burgers. I believe for the marshals there will be some drinks. But, there will be no food. There'll be no food because of COVID-19 restrictions. But yeah, burgers down.
It's BYO everywhere.
No toasted sandwiches.
No pizza.
Well, I'm assuming there will be ham and the famous Phillip Island ham and cheese sandwich, but at the moment I'm not allowed to eat it. So, yeah, it's going to be. Trust me, cruel. This is very cruel.
I'll let you all know next week what New South Wales food's like again because we booked in. Someone else booked it in for me. And I didn't have a choice.
Like I said, I've had some fun times at Moama.
Yeah, I'll be probably dragging up some memories myself. I've had the jet ski up there as well, though, too, in years gone by. However, just a shout out quickly, who's probably watching the show. I have no doubt he watches it every week on YouTube and probably even when we're on TV. Nico Rosberg also had a fang around in his car during the week. So shout out, hello, Nico, and I hope you had some fun and showed the team on how to drive that hypercar you've got.
Yeah, I haven't had any actual feedback from Nico, but I have no doubt that he's sitting somewhere in Monaco right now, watching and hanging off every word we're saying.
And just a serious shout out, even more so, is Johnny Ray, who I said a couple of weeks ago he won his sixth Superbike title. And I think you saw the same post as I did on a mutual friend of ours on one of the social media pages, Brett. Johnny Ray, who's very humbled by winning his Superbike title over there, and he still lives in Ireland. He still hangs out with the family and still does a thing and doesn't get paid anywhere near the squillions of dollars someone else who drives four wheels. Anyway, that's
he's and once again a nice guy. We've had interviewed him on the show a couple of years ago. Actually, it was one of those things that was like, would you like to interview Johnny Ray? And I was like, yeah, of course. And I said, where do I have to go? And they went, oh, it's a bit out. It's probably a bit out of the way. It's a place called Dandenong. I was like, I think I've heard of it. Yeah, I can probably go out there.
Yeah. Rides a nice bike called a quacker as well too. It's sort of like a duck, a quacker, but anyway, it's
he's a nice guy, and
quick.
As I've said 1,000 times before, the bike guys in general are all the ones that we've had on the show, with the exception of one in particular who shall remain nameless.
Sorry, cramp.
But everybody else has been fantastic.
Jordan Caruso as well too is doing okay and doing great things in the E Series as well though too. He seems to have it by the short and curlies.
Oh, is that still running? Is it?
Yeah, I think he raced last night, or the night before, and he's.
I gave it a try during the thing. I just cannot get into. I know there's people who take that very, very seriously. To me, it does absolutely nothing for me. I've tried to get in. I bought I had the simulator years ago and all that. It lasted. I ended up giving it to the next door neighbour because I just went, oh God, it was. I couldn't get in. Get into it.
I think Rick Kelly's done the same with him, but he's asking a premium price for his. He's had enough of his, and he's on selling his now too.
He's selling his, yeah.
Yeah, it's Rick Kelly selling his. I don't think he has that much sure. But Thomas Randall, is around the corner from us, and Jordan Caruso is a friend of the shows, and they seem to get in it from time to time.
We will try and get
Thomas.
Thomas's place there now that we can move around. I've just had I've had some personal stuff as some of over the past few weeks, and so that sort of put a few things on hold. So we're just sort of slowly ramping up again, and it's like we haven't done anything in terms of going out and filming, and obviously going out this weekend. It was like, where the hell is everything? Where are the cameras? Where are the tripods? Where are
Charge your batteries.
Charge the battery, yeah. Charge the radio mic.
It's right there. It's right there.
And this is the thing, because we can't do the and we can't actually wire people up with a lav mic because of the COVID-19 thing. We've got to do the shotgun mic on a shot mic
On a boom.
on a boom
On a
thing.
boom.
And
Yeah.
I've got something there, but I need something to tilt it. And I went, well, okay. All I need is I'll put it on, I'll mount it on a ball head, and so we can point it out there. I probably have 5 ball heads, but I never use them for anything. I just take them off cheap tripods and throw them down somewhere and think, I'm never using that. I've probably got 5 of them, and now I'm going to, if I can't find any later on tonight, I'm going to have to go out and buy one tomorrow.
Brett, sunscreen. Don't forget.
Thank you, Mother. Yeah, I will do. I will definitely my hat and.
It's going to be 40 degrees.
I promise to wear clean underwear as well, just in case I get hit by a car.
Yeah.
I tell you,
It's just been
still long enough.
But you got
to be clean.
The point is, it's been so long since we've gone out and done this, and I am so distressed. I booked the wrong weekend to do things and not be out when everything sort of opened up for us. So I'm going to plan my weekends better. But yeah, just don't forget, all that sort of stuff when you're out there. Stay sunscreen, because you get burnt like a crisp in a 35-degree bloody day at the moment. Because none of us have seen much light anyway at this stage as well too lately.
No, I've been going for ridiculously long walks recently, and I got a bit sun singed the other day.
It's like the lounge room, the hallway, and the kitchen and back, right?
I was going to say, I didn't realise the moonlight burn.
Seriously,
does the moonlight burn? How does the moonlight burn you at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, well, no, trust me, you don't walk around this area at 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, actually, I do.
Yeah,
I remember going down. I remember going down.
I remember.
Yeah, years ago, and someone said, and I went, and I said, I was sort of, the cops pulled me over because I was walking around at, just after midnight. I went for a walk, and I was coming back from the shops. I came back from Woolworths because at midnight. So I went up. I walked up because then it's about sort of a bit over 2 kilometres, 2.5 kilometres. So it's just not so sort of it's an okay walk. Walked up there, got the stuff, and was walking back just after midnight. And the cops stopped. But everybody, I went down the pub, and there's all sorts of rough characters down there, and they're all looking at me. Oh my God! You walk around, you do not walk around this place after dark.
Oh, have a look at people do it during the day. Have a look what Adam Somyurek did last year with his suitcases as well too. We won't get too much into that.
Oh, that's what
Adam Somyurek, the member of Parliament.
I realise. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll ignore that completely. Okay, listen, we'll say goodbye. As I said, if you want to join us, please join us, and contribute something as well. We'd love to hear from you, and just basically join us for a chat as we're chatting now. I hope you enjoyed this week. We'll see you next week. But until then, from all of us, it's goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
And there we